Take one. Matt Lenihan, boxing, social and association with Forged Irish Stout, Empire, Fight Store, freebets.com. Been joined by Gareth A. Davies. Gareth, we're both in different locations today than what we'd usually be in. Little cafe in Essex. I'm at Alton Towers currently. How are we?
Very well. I just dropped my car off. Had a nice bike ride down to where am I? I think I'm in Ingatestone, is it? I think I'm in a lovely little coffee shop. Very peaceful. Monday morning, people reading their papers, chilling out. A lot of traffic. Very tiny little street. Beautiful, beautiful little. It's bigger than a village, but it's very beautiful along here. Obviously, Matchroom's literally about 20 minutes up the road on a bicycle. So I'm going to get that sorted out. You and I both on days off today, and I'm about to get my car sorted out and go paddle boarding on the sea for the first time this season today. I've got about a 2-hour window when the tide's in and it's 11 degrees and just about warm enough so that if I fall in the sea, I'll be all right.
Yeah, it's bloody freezing today, so it's...
Are you on the rides? You're at Alton Towers, aren't you?
A little family get away for a day or two and then back on it, but this is what we're doing.
Rides? Have you got a favourite ride?
I've been for years, if I'm honest. Whichever, whatever my lad's big enough to go on, that'll be a favourite one for today. So
because I'm terrible at the older my kids got, and the older I got, the more I was like, no, Daddy's going to keep the dog and go and walk the dog for a day while you go on the rides. Because I'll be genuine. I mean, I love my motorbike and love going out for bike rides and stuff, but not a rides guy anymore. So I haven't got because there must be some amazing rides there now at Alton Towers. You must be able to be Peter Pan on some of them, you know?
Bloody, we went yesterday, but we only had the last sort of hour or so while we're open, but then today we've got a full day, so I think I'll know what's good after about 4 o'clock. So,
all right, what's your tip on, because you have to queue for all of these rides when you're there? It's it's Easter holidays now, is it? Yeah, okay. So I don't like queuing, and I'm going to be honest about that. If I can avoid queuing, I don't like sitting in traffic jams. If I can leave at 5:30 and get there 3 hours early in the morning because I don't have to sit in traffic for an hour and a half, then I'll do that. If I could get there for the first ride that opens at 8:30 and be there at 7:45, I'd be doing that. I don't want to wait an hour. So what do you do in the queue if you're waiting for the ride with your kids? What's the thing now?
do you know what? We waited for one yesterday, and it said 40 minutes wait, and I'm like you, I was stood there going, "Fucking hell, this is long." But we just
no. What you thought was I could do 3 interviews in that time.
No, actually wasn't. Actually wasn't. I was thinking I could be having a cup of tea or a brew somewhere. This is taking the piss. But you know what? It was worth the wait. They have things like on the way around now, like little stalls, like in the actual queue line.
Okay. That's clever.
It took the sting off.
So you puke up your hot dog that you've had on the way when you get thrown around in the ride. Yeah, I bet they're amazing now.
Yeah.
Anyway. Sorry, I digressed. Yeah.
No. Good to have a chit chat. Let's start with Dalton Smith. We've got to start there. I spoke to a few people after, and as I was watching it, my thoughts were the same. Mature performance against someone who's been there, challenged for a world title, I believe, 4 times in Jose Zepeda. He took a couple of 3 times. Took a round or so to almost like have a look and see what was coming at him. But then he picked his shots beautifully and managed to get him out of there. What was your assessment from what you'd seen?
Well, I was in the studio in Talksport at the time presenting the show, and I didn't really get to see the fight live, if you like. I mean, we had it on the monitor there, but kind of went as I expected, except he did it in half the time. So maybe he's, obviously Jose Zepeda's quite weather worn. He's into his 42nd, 43rd fight. He's 34 years old. Dalton's at the peak of his early kind of, I think he's at the peak of his championship abilities. Sorry, at the start of that rise to his peak. Yeah, I just think, as I said, I describe him. I always describe Dalton. I mean, he's got a big back. He's physically incredibly strong. He's got his full man strength now. He fights. He fights in a very powerful way. And I always describe him, as you know, as he always reminds me of a guy with two axes in his hands. He fights like if he was a gladiator in Rome, he'd fight with two swords or two axes because that's the way he fights. He doesn't shield that much, but he moves from the waist very well. We know he's obviously brilliantly schooled by Grant, his father, who's a meticulous detailist to the point where it's a joke in the gym. You can't put a dumbbell, out of 1 millimeter out of position. Grant would forgive me for that because I think he's very much like the Sergeant Major. We know it's a thriving, vibrant, powerful gym. We know that. I ran into Junaid Boston in St Pancras train station a couple of weeks back, and obviously Junaid's light middle, is he? I think light middle.
Yeah, around there.
Light middle, and he spars regularly with Dalton. So Dalton's and Junaid I really rate, by the way.
Very good.
Yeah, he's a great kid. He was with a Love Islander. They've been a chap who was on Love Island. They've been out kind of having fun. And Junaid had been out all night and doesn't drink a drop, by the way. He's a great kid, by the way. It's lovely to run into him. I really I've interviewed Junaid a couple of times, but yeah, it's a really good gym. So I thought Dalton was very impressive. I thought it's almost like the word stopped Zepeda in his tracks.
Yeah.
Would be apt for that punch into the solar plexus, into the breadbasket, if you like, because he literally froze him with the punch, didn't he? And almost didn't throw another punch because he knew it was over. Thankfully, as Zepeda went down and genuflected on one knee, the punch missed as well.
He does. Well, I think Zepeda, when he went, he's like, because that would have been.
I know, but he was so hurt. But he was so hurt, he knew that he couldn't go on. Very impressive. When you think that, then you just compare what Zepeda did with 11 rounds with Regis Prograis, a very, very powerful performance to beat Ivan Baranchik a couple of years back. I'd say the 3 worlds. All right, he's come up from lightweight over the years. I was there the night when Terry Flanagan beat him in the world lightweight title, and Zepeda had a shoulder injury that night. Obviously, he was beaten by, was it Jose Ramirez that Josh Taylor beat to win the Undisputed? So he's got, all I'm saying is the caliber of Zepeda is unquestionable.
Yeah.
Yes, he's a little over the hill. It was perfect matchmaking. I thought Dalton would have a great fight with him and stop him towards the end. So, it was a brilliant performance, and he's done so well. And, I'm going to jump ahead. He's too advanced for Adam Azim right now. Adam Azim's not ready for Dalton Smith. Because Adam Azim needs to really get his man strength. He's too young to fight Dalton Smith, and I reckon that fight's probably a year away to 15 months away, 3 or 4 fights away.
That's sort of obviously naturally skipping on to the next point I was going to say, because do you think they've almost, I don't want to say boxed themselves in a position by, they moved Adam Azim very quickly, they've got him to that European title status very quickly. Do you think he's moving too quick at the minute, Adam Azim? Because
only because what I see. Listen, he's incredibly skilled. He's got the rapidity of punches that very few other fighters have got. Amir Khan had that as a youngster.
Yeah.
And obviously he came undone a couple of times. Obviously he started out as a pro, very, very young himself. I just think Adam Azim needs to percolate a little bit, develop greater strength in his wrists, in his shoulders. And what was he, 21, I think Adam is.
Oh, baby.
He might even be 20. Yeah, not a baby, but he's still a young man. And I think, we always talk about man strength. And unless you're that age, you don't realise your wrists and your fingers and things about you do get stronger as you get older.
Yeah.
And I just think he needs to develop that a little bit. Don't rush him. it's a great fight. Don't get me wrong. But at the moment, I see Dalton Smith as too, especially after that performance as well, as too mature a fighter right now for Adam. Because I think he'd wear Adam's punches, and I think he'd break him down. But I do think it's a great fight down the line.
In terms of boxer, oh wow, I know Eddie was very vocal after the fight. Yeah, good breakfast that. I'll be having some as soon as I finish this. He was very vocal after the fight and said, you know, they've almost snookered themselves into a corner. They did this with Fraser Clark. They left it very long. They pulled him out, and it's going to get very embarrassing. What do you make of them comments? And do you believe that boxers should have pulled the plug and said, we're not fighting Dalton Smith next a long time ago? What's your thoughts on it?
Well, I don't think you can ever say we're not fighting them. I think, you know, the game, that isn't the game, is it? That's not what happens, because
next,
the truth is,
next.
Yeah, next. Look, you've been in this game long enough to know this. Now, I've been in this game too long enough not to know this.
Yeah.
Is that every fighter, from the minute, if I talk to Henry Fisher, to Johnny Fisher, and I have, in his mind, he smashes Francis Ngannou in 3 rounds every day of the week.
Yeah.
Is he ready for Ngannou? Yes. But is he ready for Daniel Dubois? No. In his mind, he is. And Adam Azim's mind, he beats Dalton Smith. But it's how you value the progression of your fighter and how you matchmake and how you produce your fighter. Even Floyd Mayweather, from fights 35 to 50.
No worries.
I don't know how to mute it while I'm doing. The matchmaking was always key. You know, you think when he fought Canelo, it took him at the right time. And I think matchmaking really counts, but you can't really say, oh no, I can't fight him. We can say that.
Yeah.
But they won't speak for Adam Azim. He will always say, of course I'll fight Dalton Smith. I'll fight him twice tomorrow, and I'll fight him 4 times on a Sunday. He's never going to say that. Pride, ego, the arrogance of youth of being a fighter. They can't ever say that. So, and I'm not even going to say that they should do it, but promotionally, Eddie Hearn loves getting one over on Ben Shalom, and that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. You know, there's a little bit of a cul-de-sac there at the moment for Adam Azim, the promotional team. Delighted for his trainer, by the way, Jane McGuigan. Did we speak in the week or not?
We spoke last week. He got the award.
Yeah, delighted for him. Absolutely delighted, by the way. Thoroughly deserved.
Great trainer. Yeah. So, in terms of obviously moving on, if it's not going to be an Adam Azim for Dalton Smith, Eddie referenced guys like, obviously you've a Regis Prograis he's been there and done it, and he's just come off obviously defeat to Devin Haney. When we talk about matchmaking and timing, is that a fight you'd like to see next potentially?
Yeah, well, it's the perfect fight. He's been a world champion. He's a southpaw, so that's a good advancement for Dalton. Yeah, it's perfect matchmaking, frankly. And we know that Regis has a following here. He's very beloved. He's a fantastic guy, sells a fight really well.
Yeah.
And again, he's a guy that can stretch Dalton. I think he'll stretch him a lot more than Jose Zepeda.
Agree.
And again, I go Dalton Smith on points in a hard-fought fight.
Yeah. To me, that seems like the perfect next step after a win over Zepeda, someone like that.
Yeah.
And someone who will offer more, like you said, you would think. Coming on to just a different topic, we've seen that Eddie, Frank have chosen the weights for this 5v5. Obviously, things are happening in the background all the time. A lot of rumours about the potential fights and what is happening. What have you heard, Gareth, from your end?
I'll tell you what I will clear up. I haven't heard that released story about Deontay Wilder and Zhilei Zhang.
Yeah.
It's not. I hadn't heard that fight, by the way. So I understood why Eddie Hearn and because my understanding was that Deontay Wilder was going to fight someone else. I can't reveal it due to my sources asking me not to, because that fight's still being made. There's that for a start. I think. Would I like to see that fight? Yes. There's other fights for Deontay Wilder as well, including Francis Ngannou, by the way.
Yeah, that'd be
which if that was the fight that they stuck on as His Excellency's heavyweight fight, because obviously it's heavyweights, light heavyweight, middleweight, and featherweight, and the 5 versus 5, aren't they? And I've got my ideal fights, but that won't, I'm just in fantasy world when I think about it. What a card that's going to be on June the 1st, though, with Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol at the top of it. It's going to be an amazing card.
Yeah, what do you think if obviously I know that Eddie shut down pardon me, any confirmation really of obviously Zhang and Wilder. Zhang just coming off the defeat to Parker, Wilder coming off defeat to Parker. Leaves Parker obviously free to fight somebody else, but that fight was to get made, whether it's part of 5v5 or not, or it's just on the card or on a card. What do you make of that matchup?
What, Zhang and Wilder?
Yeah, if it was to get made.
It's the ultimate Big Bang Zhang fight, isn't it? I mean, Wilder's going to throw his hands. Is he spent? We'll find out. We know Zhang's dangerous early. Weirdly, it's a fight in which you say, Wilder, the longer the fight goes, more chance.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's a terrific matchup. It's a terrific. So is Parker. So is Parker and Joshua again, by the way. I wonder what they're doing with why they're not doing Parker Zhang again, because I had it a draw, by the way.
Oh, did you?
I had a little chat to His Excellency at ringside, and he saw Parker as the clear winner. And at the time, I thought Zhang might have just shaded it. When I looked back on what was scoring in my mind, and I didn't do it on paper, but I was writing live report at the time. I had it a draw. And it's worthy of a second fight, but it's also, there's so many great fights to be made. Why do we have 2 fights in the moment? I feel like that about Fury and Usyk, in a way.
Yeah.
The best man, may the best man win, and if they get a chance to fight the winner, they get a chance to put Joshua in with the winner, put Joshua in right now. I mean, it's such an amazing time. By the way, on that 5x5, he really is going to become a legend with British boxing fans, His Excellency Turkey Al-Sheikh, if he brings the next 5x5 in September to Wembley Stadium. Now, you've learned by now, and I've learned by now, as we know already, just to recap over this because it broke up. When His Excellency says he's going to do it, when Turkey Al-Sheikh says he's going to do it, he delivers.
Yeah.
They are discussing doing Wembley Stadium. That fight or that event is going to be of such magnitude that it's got me fantasizing that we're going to get Fury and Joshua in the UK.
Yeah.
And the winner of that will fight Usyk at the beginning of the Riyadh season, or it'll be the winner of Beterbiev and Bivol against Benavidez at the start of the Riyadh season, or whatever it is,
That'd be
watch Canelo come running now as well, though, by the way. So yeah, it's very exciting. Look, off air and on air with you, I've said for so long now, don't listen to the naysayers on the sport. This is an extraordinary time. I've been involved in this sport a very long time.
Yeah.
And every day I find myself infusing and discussing and, talking about all the potential fights that are going on. Everybody knows who the top 15, top 20 heavyweights in the world are now again.
Yeah.
And you remember last year and the year before, it was just quite negative news. Without casting aspersion on Conor Benn, or we had that whole case that was really kind of depressing to deal with. We had the fights not being made between the heavyweights while they were waiting for Saudi Arabian investment, and the figures were adding up, and America, fewer and fewer trips to America with big fights, and we'd had that kind of got to with stadium fights in the UK, 5 of them, and Tyson Fury coming back in the amazing story, and then it all kind of
died down a bit. Yeah.
When did it freeze?
You mentioned obviously a lot of negative news and things like that. But obviously with stuff, and you know, we were sort of in a bit of a lull sort of period, and now this is sort of.
So basically, bottom line is that we were in a lull, but look at the enthusiasm there is for sport again. People know the top 20 heavyweights in the world. There's discussions every day about who we want to see fighting. It's all, everyone knows that everything is possible. The promoters are working together. There was a time when we were all traveling to America. As we both know, Saudi investment in boxing and in sport and in culture and entertainment is not going to stop. We're very lucky and privileged that our sport has been chosen to get this funding boost.
Great.
And as I said to you last week, one of the things I would like to see happen, and that's why I went to your parliamentary or party parliamentary group at Port Carlos House in Westminster to get involved and to report on the APPG into boxing, is that let's nourish the grassroots at the moment, because I think we're going through such a transitional time at the top end of the sport, and lots of young stars coming through, by the way.
Yeah.
Including this, the Nathan Heaney's, the Liam Davises, there's loads of guys coming through at the moment who are going to furnish the mid-range events, and let's nurture the grassroots community clubs as well. At the moment, they've got zero funding. You know, let's make some noise about that, and that's why I went. And well done to Imran Hussain MP and people like Lord Addington and those involved in the Lords and the MPs, 25 of them, all insistent that grassroots community boxing funding is there in the government's sports strategy, whichever government is in soon.
Yeah, well, it's something that needs to be there. We've seen the effects that boxing has on people's lives. I mean, just take the top of the tree, you look at Anthony Joshua and what his life maybe would have been without boxing, and not just him, but there's so many stories. And I think I was down at the Aspire gym in Sheffield last week with Matt Truman, and that gym's potentially looking at maybe closing because of, you know, situations between the schools and the council on the land. And it's like, these kids love coming, and it helps steer them away from things that they shouldn't be getting involved in. And I believe that, you know, if they carry on pushing like that, obviously with the likes of Matt Truman, I know Boxer have done stuff in the past with charities. It needs a big push from everyone now to get some real investment.
Yeah, I mean, all the major promoters have been involved at some point, and Frank Warren does enormous work for charities as well. But and by the way, I contacted him, having written that story. I know you've read it because I sent it to you. Well, I know you said you read it anyway. But but Frank was saying, I'm very happy to lend my voice to it as well. The social capital, as Dr. Deborah Jump, the criminologist and senior lecturer at Manchester Metropolitan University, puts it, mental health, less gang involvement, social well-being, partnerships more in communities, health, lifestyle, all those factors, mental health, all those things that I'm mentioning, that she calls social capital, that emanates from involvement in physical activity, boxing and confidence at that level.
Yeah.
Because those youngsters, they're knocking 6 bells out of each other. The very talented ones get carded and join the amateurs. But you're talking about people, 5,000 coaches as well, all volunteers. You're talking about people getting involved at a community level. Now, I played very, very decent level sport till I was 45, and you know, I mean, it's cricket in the end, but you eventually have to stop if you want to play a certain level. But it doesn't stop me still wanting to do martial arts training or sparring sometimes, and being gentle, being soft, hard with or whatever you do. But it's developing a lifelong love of something, and they found that 95% of those 5,000 coaches, who are at the end of the day volunteers, that's come from them being involved in a community grassroots gym. And the other thing to add, Matthew, which is the only your mother calls you Matthew, is the lifelong love of sport, but it's also 90% of those clubs are in deprived communities, and 90% of those clubs are desperately in need of funding. And like you said, the Aspire gym, the fears are they're going to close down. So we need big investment. We need to underpin it, basically, get into the foundations again, and just grow it. You can't grow the grassroots without giving it rain and sun, and that's what it needs. It's as simple as that.
100%. Well, look, Gareth, I think that's an ideal place, but it's an important note as well. Hopefully we do see that investment and we can continue to push from all angles, all promoters, everyone in the media, hopefully shine a little bit of light on it, just to give it that bit of a push, because it will change a lot of things, especially in
Absolutely.
100%. Well, Gareth, I'm going to let you get on and enjoy your day.
Lovely. All right, bud. Great to see you.
Good to see you. Catch you soon.
Well done. Go and get in that queue. No burgers.
Yeah. See you later, pal. Thank you.